Imagine for a moment that everything you know, your cherished memories, the faces of those you love, the ground beneath your feet, is not real. Not in the way you've always believed. What if this life, this existence, is a carefully crafted illusion? What if we are nothing more than intricate creations of code, existing within a grand simulation designed by an intelligence beyond our comprehension? This question is both haunting and liberating. It forces us to look beyond the familiar, to question the foundation of everything we assume to be true. But it also challenges us to redefine our place in the cosmos. If we are part of a simulation, what does that mean for our purpose, our consciousness, and the meaning of our lives? The idea of a simulated reality feels like a product of our technological era, a natural question in a world dominated by computers and artificial intelligence. But this concept is far older than the technology that now brings it to life. It has been debated, in one form or another, by some of the greatest minds in human history. And to wrestle with this idea is to face the deepest questions of existence. What is reality? What does it mean to be conscious? And if our lives are not real in the traditional sense, does that diminish their value or enhance it? Let us begin where many of the great philosophical questions originate, with Plato. Over 2 millennia ago, Plato described a metaphor that resonates deeply with the simulation hypothesis, his allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners who have spent their entire lives chained inside a dark cavern. Their heads are fixed so they can only see the wall in front of them, where shadows flicker, cast by objects passing in front of a fire behind them. For these prisoners, the shadows are reality. They know nothing else. The shapes and movements of the shadows are the boundaries of their world. But now imagine one of the prisoners is freed. At first, the light of the fire blinds him, and the world beyond the cave overwhelms him. He struggles to understand what he sees, the objects casting the shadows, the fire itself, and eventually, as he steps out of the cave, the vast and incomprehensible light of the sun. The prisoner has now seen the truth. But if he returns to the cave, how would he explain it to those still chained? Would they even believe him? This allegory is often interpreted as a metaphor for human perception, the way we mistake appearances for reality. But what if we extend it further? What if the world we know, the sun, the stars, the vastness of the universe, is itself just another set of shadows? What if there is another layer of reality beyond what we can perceive, and we are still prisoners in the cave, mistaking our simulation for the ultimate truth? Centuries after Plato, another philosopher would grapple with a similar question, René Descartes. In his Meditations on First Philosophy, Descartes imagined a scenario that is as unsettling as it is profound. He asked, what if everything I perceive, the sights, sounds, and sensations of the world, is an illusion created by a powerful deceiver? What if an evil demon is manipulating my mind, crafting a false reality that I cannot escape? To escape this doubt, Descartes sought a single point of certainty, something that could not be doubted. And he found it in the act of thinking itself. Cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. For Descartes, this was the foundation of all knowledge, the knowledge of his own existence as a thinking being. But Descartes' insight, while profound, leaves us with a troubling question. If we can be certain of our own existence, can we ever be certain of the nature of the world we inhabit? What if the evil demon Descartes imagined is not a supernatural being, but something else? A hyper-intelligent programmer, perhaps, or an advanced artificial intelligence? What if our reality is a simulation, and our thoughts, memories, and experiences are no more than the product of lines of code? This brings us to the modern era, where the simulation hypothesis takes on new life. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed an argument that has become a cornerstone of this debate. Bostrom argued that one of 3 possibilities must be true. First, civilizations like ours never reach the technological capability to create realistic simulations. Second, advanced civilizations reach that capability but choose not to simulate their ancestors. Or third, we are almost certainly living in a simulation. The logic is as compelling as it is unsettling. If advanced civilizations exist and they have the ability to simulate entire worlds, then the number of simulated realities would vastly outnumber the one base reality. Statistically, we are far more likely to be living in one of those simulations than in the original universe. But this idea is not just a philosophical curiosity. It finds echoes in the realm of science, where certain phenomena suggest that our universe might operate like a grand computational system. Consider the work of physicist James Gates, who discovered patterns in the equations of string theory that resemble error-correcting codes used in computer programming to detect and correct errors. Gates himself asked whether this could be evidence that the universe operates like a cosmic computer. Or consider the famous double-slit experiment in quantum mechanics, where particles behave differently when they are observed. When not observed, particles exist in a state of probability, like a wave. But when observed, they behave like particles, as if the act of observation itself collapses the wave function. Could this be evidence of a universe that renders reality on demand, much like a video game that generates graphics only as the player moves through the environment? These phenomena, while fascinating, leave us with more questions than answers. If the universe is a simulation, who created it? And why? Are we part of an experiment, a test, or an entertainment program? Are we the first civilization to ask these questions, or are we part of an infinite loop of simulations, running endlessly, like a program without an end? And then there are the philosophical implications. What does it mean to live in a reality that might not be real? Consider the question of free will. If our thoughts and actions are dictated by lines of code, do we have any agency? Or are we simply following pre-programmed paths, unable to deviate from the parameters set by our creators? Philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre might argue that freedom is not about external conditions but about how we respond to them. Even in a simulation, we can choose how to live, how to find meaning, how to connect with others. Sartre believed that existence precedes essence, that we create our own meaning through our choices. But does that belief hold in a simulated world? If our choices are predetermined by a program, can we still create meaning, or is that too an illusion? And what about ethics? If we are living in a simulation, does our suffering matter? If our pain is real to us, does it matter whether it is real to our creators? Are we, like characters in a video game, existing for the amusement or curiosity of a higher intelligence? And if we could discover the truth, if we found undeniable proof that we are living in a simulation, what would we do with that knowledge? Would it change how we live our lives, or would we carry on, as we always have, because this simulation is the only reality we've ever known? Albert Camus, in his essay The Myth of Sisyphus, wrote about the tension between our desire for meaning and the universe's apparent indifference. For Camus, the question is not whether life has meaning, but whether we can live without it. Perhaps the same can be said of the simulation hypothesis. If the world is a simulation, can we still find meaning within it? Can we embrace the absurdity and live fully, even if our existence is virtual? And finally, we return to Plato's cave. If we are the prisoners, if we are living in shadows, what lies beyond? Is there a greater reality waiting for us, or is this as real as it gets? Perhaps the ultimate truth is not whether we live in a simulation, but how we live with the possibility that we might. So, do we live in a simulation? We may never know. But in asking the question, we confront something deeper, the nature of reality, the meaning of existence, and the boundless capacity of the human mind to wonder. What do you think? Is this world real, or is it just another shadow on the wall?